Hello again, and welcome back to AOTP with Corey and Sean. I'm Corey. Sean, Casey, say hello.
Yes. Hello.
We're still in the midst of the damn weirdest political season ever in the history of this country, with all sorts of different rule changes that are made for the convenience of a certain party.
And cum eaters.
Indeed, a man's ejaculate is full of valuable protein.
So we weren't mentioning that. Yeah, we know I'm talking about that. But we have Donald Trump still in the lead with what's going on here, and then you got Kamala Harris, who is just an utter train wreck in every way, and to make her ticket even better, she aligned herself with somebody who is equally as extremist left and also equally as fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. And he just keeps burying himself a little deeper. I mean, what all have we seen go on this week alone? I mean, aside from this is about a month into Kamala's supposed candidacy since Biden left the race, and she still has not done an interview.
Mm-hmm. No, she did do an interview, actually. A scripted interview with Tim Walz.
Well, yeah. And she and she made a speech for the Pennsylvania football team as they were touring through Pennsylvania.
In regards to their record for the season?
Yes, that they can remain undefeated all season even if they don't win every game.
Knowing that you will be undefeated even if you don't win every game?
Yeah.
I don't think that's how that works.
Figure that one out.
Well, that's it. With her, I've noticed that listening to her, I mean, she talks...
Out her ass.
No. She talks a lot like Yoda, where instead of an unmatched mastery of the Force, Yoda had Down syndrome.
I'm retarded?
That's kind of what you get with her, and it's just like she can't ever pull herself out of it once she digs her in the deep. She just goes in, I'm gonna keep going.
I don't know.
Hopefully somebody will run a bus into the wall here and kill somebody and distract people from how fucking stupid I am. But we got, I mean, what all is, like, Tim Walz alone,
well,
that guy's a fucking mess.
Yeah, his military record is questioned, and then also things that he said when he was, I guess governor of Minnesota. But he has some very impressive accomplishments. He got tampons put in middle school boys' bathrooms.
In 2023, Walz backed state legislation requiring public schools to provide feminine products, including tampons, pads, and other items in all restrooms, boys and girls, used by students in grades 4th through 12th.
Perfect.
That's because everybody knows that middle school boys are the most mature people on the planet, and they are absolutely in no way will they ever shoot them at each other like rockets.
Just 20 minutes after this tampon dispenser was installed in the boys' room of Brookfield High School, it was ripped from the wall.
They're also the ones who menstruate like crazy, right?
Yep. They bleed everywhere.
Yeah.
Corey, it's not for their menstruation.
After
it's for if they get diarrhea. You can just stick it up there, and that way you can continue going to classes and don't have to worry.
What kind of school did you go to?
My coach used to give me these juice boxes. They made me sleepy. And then my bum hurt after.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he just from what I have seen from day one, his military record was called into question.
Well, it's not so much his military record, it's what he says about
his dishonesty in regards to his military record, I'll say.
Yes, for one, and again, I'm a gun guy. He used to be sponsored by the NRA. And, of course, he turned on him, stabbed him in the back, as they're wont to do. And he wants to get rid of AR-15s because, as he claims, he carried them in war.
And we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
I'd like to know what war he carried them in, because AR-15s have never been issued to any military other than when they were first created. They were issued in small quantities to the Air Force, but they were quickly taken back out of circulation and reformatted for fully
But,
automatic.
wasn't his active service in Italy?
Yeah, like I forget where all or what he did exactly, but
Like we guarded Luigi's spaghetti house right down the road.
yeah, pretty much. Like, you know.
I mean, it's ridiculous what he keeps saying, but I mean, you also like his record as a politician is just as bad. Where I guess they had a huge reserve. I don't know how many billions the state of Minnesota had as a reserve, and he blew through that as governor, and then even raised their taxes to try and compensate for the money that he's blown.
It's a scam. It's always some kind of a scam.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, that's another issue in this week. In that the House, I guess, filed an impeachment report over Biden or for Biden, which actually in all the news coverage, I forgot he was still president.
Is he still alive?
It's like, yeah, I haven't seen him in a while.
Are they doing Weekend at Bernie's?
They put him back in the basement. It's like, we don't want him out too much, but yeah, they started the final impeachment report on him, and it's based on his influence peddling when he was vice president, him and his family's influence peddling. And I'm like, you knew all of that before he was ever fucking elected president.
Well, would that include the time when he did an interview and he was on stage and he was laughing about how he told the Ukraine's president to
fire the lawyer,
fire the prosecutor?
The prosecutor
that was going after Hunter.
Yeah, it's like, fire him and you won't get that $2 billion. And I'll be damned if I didn't fire him and they got that $2 billion. It's like,
and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
It's like, dude,
that's
like you're saying the quiet part out loud, sir.
What the hell is he doing? It's like, that's exactly what we have the problem with, and he's admitting it on camera. Well, I mean, even so much as like Kamala's husband, I saw where he had an affair with like a nanny or something like that, and he paid her to be quiet. Isn't that hush money?
That's illegal. We saw that with Stormy Daniels. It's illegal. You can't.
Yeah. You can't pay somebody to be quiet, or you get taken to court.
I'll be honest. I didn't know Kamala was married.
Yeah. I just thought she was Willie Brown's.
I thought she was the congressional bicycle. Personally,
everybody got a ride.
Yeah, she was the town jizz jar.
Whoa.
She's like, I'll be honest. I thought I was going to see my end at the end of a sophomore football team, but nope.
I showed them. Little did they know I was to become prosecutor, state of North Carolina or state of California, and most of them ended up in jail working on the side of the road for free.
And then I kept them in jail and laughed about it. Wait, you got to do the arm too. You got to swing the arm out.
Yeah, like she got Tourette's.
Oh yeah, because she's unburdened from her burdens that burdened her.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been.
So,
well, it's because she's too concerned about
today
Russia being a country in Europe and Ukraine being a smaller country in Europe, and Russia might want to invade the smaller country of Ukraine in Europe.
And that's wrong.
But today is today, and tomorrow is tomorrow, and tomorrow's yesterday is today's tomorrow, or something. Yes. I don't know. I still haven't been able to piece that one back together.
It's about all of them.
It's like, my favorite is when she was talking on some panel with some other women, and she's talking about how everybody needs to be, you can be the woker or wokest, but just as long as you're woke,
just stay woke.
And then you got the right next to it is the speech where Trump said everything woke goes to shit.
No, my personal favorite is her little interview she did. She was like, "The border is secure," and he goes, "But you've never been to the border." Well, I've never been to Europe either.
This whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
You were never designated to be the czar of Europe.
Were you Europe czar?
Yeah, they got their own people.
We need to get one of those.
What, a Europe czar?
Yeah, Europe czar.
Yeah.
Well, Kamala would have been. But she couldn't even handle the Mexico line czar.
Well, Hunter kind of was. Through Burisma.
Yeah. But you know what? I love it, the whole, when she was designated as the border czar, it was such, that was obviously Biden dumping the responsibility of how bad the border was getting on her. And now she's like, I was never designated as border czar. I was like, we have tweets that you made talking about how you were going to handle your responsibilities as border czar. And the media is just going along with it. It's like, yeah, she was never, it was never her problem. Like, actually, it was.
It's a lie. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
She was not border czar.
Yeah, I know. According to her and the media.
CNN told me that she wasn't, so.
Oh, CNN told you? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, I hate to tell you, CNN's not even on her coattails anymore because when she rolled out the price capping, what's a good term for that?
She's like, I like this czar title. Are there any other titles from countries that
I saw
originates from that we can?
You have any more titles that sound a little more Ruski?
I saw something. It was a Star War, and there was a Palperdine. I don't know, but I really liked his title.
You're thinking
Provolone. That's what it is. Emperor Provolone. Somehow he returned.
Yeah.
But I like his title.
Emperor?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know, though. I think Czar works for her. If she's going to, shove communism down our throats, why not?
I tell you what it does sound like, though. Go ahead. No.
And that's nothing but pure and simple old-fashioned communism.
That's where the communism.
I would have put that like a little bit ago when I brought it up and was like, what do you call that?
I thought you
just
were gonna,
plain old-fashioned communism.
Flip it.
I thought you were going to bass boost the audio so you could hear the crickets in the background.
No, that's your comments.
Yeah.
Anytime you talk, we put the crickets in.
Or the high voice. That was called Minion.
We're off topic.
Sorry.
What else happened this week besides like the impeachment? Every time Kamala looks at a camera.
Well, Walls.
Same damn thing.
One thing that I did love that Walls said was he was talking, of course, about Trump, and he said that everybody just need to leave people alone. And I love that based on his platform. Did you not see that?
No.
Where he said that the government's job is just to leave people alone. Why
do they refuse to do that then?
Exactly. Because his entire platform is, for one, to take AR-15s from people. Well, basically take guns from people.
Yeah.
I mean, confiscation is what ultimately they want.
That's what most socialist communists want.
Yeah, he wants forced buybacks and,
Yeah,
and
to disarm the populace.
He wants red flag laws. He wants, universal background checks, which that means universal background checks. A lot of people think, oh, well, background checks. I'm for background checks. Fine. I don't want crazy people with guns. Sounds good, except for the fact that universal background checks means that, say, for instance, your father dies and he has a bunch of guns and he's leaving them to you. Well, he died, and, he didn't have time to write over that, yes, I'm giving them here, and you have to have universal background checks in order to do that, and basically the state would come and confiscate your guns, and then
disarm the populace.
And the only way for universal background checks to work is for a national registry. That's the only way it'll work, because how do you know who has what? If if you have to do background checks, how do you know? Because right now we do not have. Well, ATF says they don't have one. They do, but how do you know?
What I don't get when everyone is complaining about background checks just makes me wonder, what am I doing at the ATF when I go in and they're like, hey, I need your license and I need all your stuff so that I can check it before I can hand the gun over to you, as I am required to do by the government?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually right now, which they're called FRTs, or forced reset triggers, the ATF deemed them illegal, even though the ATF initially said that forced reset triggers were fine. Basically, they turned around on that. Well, then...
As they often do.
Yes. And then they started going door to door to people that they knew had them and confiscated them. Like from people who gave
legally acquired them.
Yeah. And they bought them under the assumption that it was legal because they were legal at the time.
Because they were legal, yes.
Then ATF decided they changed their minds. And then the Fifth Circuit, I believe, went and said, because they were trying to designate forced reset triggers, just little drop-in triggers, trying to say that those were machine guns. So the Fifth Circuit was like, no, those are not machine guns. They don't turn a gun into a machine gun. They don't do anything. So they said, the court specifically said, not only will you stop prosecuting people for forced reset triggers, you will also hand back the forced reset triggers that you confiscated. And they said, and you will do that within 30 days. Well, guess what the ATF said?
We destroyed them all?
No, they didn't say that.
What?
They said, well, we can't make that 30 days because we don't know who to give these forced reset triggers to.
How'd you know who had them?
Yeah, exactly. How the fuck did you know where they were in the first place?
Oh, dude, if I was that judge, I'd just be like, bro, that's not my problem. That's on you. You better get them back, or I hate.
But ultimately, what we're talking about still,
I do too.
But ultimately, what we're talking about in this context is that's the kind of overreach that this guy's fucking calling for.
Yeah.
And it's funny that he would run on a leave everybody alone, because he is the guy in Minnesota during the height of COVID was talking about he was calling for you to, if your neighbors aren't strictly adhering to the COVID guidelines that he set forth, that you're to call and turn them into the law.
No, he set up hotlines to tattle on your neighbors. You know who else did that? And again, I know it's cliche to point this out, but you know who else did that?
He's a Nazi! Get him!
Nazis.
Their tactics are 100% like, oh, okay, well, we're not going to have a fucking election to put Kamala in.
Yeah, we're just going to install her.
We're just going to install her. You mean like chancellor?
Actually, to be fair, even Hitler was voted in.
He was initially.
Yeah, initially. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, yes, he kept his power and stayed in, but he was voted in first.
The actual people did vote for him. Not one single human being has voted for Kamala Harris.
Yeah. And
still, yet the fucking Democrats are not mad about this at all, being completely ignored.
Imagine Hitler getting more votes than you.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah, he did. Say what you want. He got voted in there legally. Yes, he changed the laws so he didn't have to leave. But initially, he was wanted by somebody.
Let's hope this isn't foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. If they have their way, it absolutely is foreshadowing, because they're wanting us in like a Nazi communist state somewhere, in between there.
They've already said through the World Economic Forum, they said you will own nothing and you will be happy. You will live in the pods, you will eat the bugs, and you will shut up. And because that's what ultimately they want, is everybody living in what they call pods, or basically stacked, filing cabinet dwellings.
Those Chinese apartments.
Yeah, exactly. They call it tofu drag, I think.
Yeah.
And it literally, like, they have stairwells that just crumble, but that's ultimately what they want.
That's it. That's what they. Not only that's not like their choice in candidates here shows they're not even trying to hide it now.
No,
it's like they want that totalitarian government system that just they handle everything. And by God, Kamala, she's talking about all the shit she's going to fix in office. One, you're in office now, bitch.
Yeah.
You could go right down there and tell Senile Joe to fix it.
She wouldn't even have to do that.
No, she wouldn't.
She
just has to vote.
He's fucking compromised.
Yeah. Or she's like, well, I'm going to fix this on day one. It's like, your buddy up there who put you in office, DEI style, is the one who caused all that shit.
Urge people to, you can Google it or go on to any search engine.
Did you see where people have been calling her out about copying Trump on being like, I'm going to not tax tips?
Not tax tips, that's one thing. And did you see, to further on that, she is the one, when Biden proposed the block on that, she cast the tie-breaking vote. To get it blocked, so it didn't happen. And now she's like, "Oh, that's what I'm going to do."
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
Sorry, bitch, that ship has sailed for you. You know.
Well, if you want to talk about like their tactics and stuff, there's a woman who lived through Nazi Germany. She was in Austria, and she travels around the country. She's in her 80s, 90s. I doubt she does now. But I saw a whole thing on her, and what she did is she went around telling people like the dangers of socialism, communism, all that. And she was talking about how when Germany came in, because Austria was really poor, because Germany had put in a bunch of embargoes against them and stuff, so they were all starving. They couldn't, they didn't have schools, they didn't have this and that. So then Nazi Germany came in. And they said, "Oh, here we got your food. Here we're building you schools. We're just improving the country overall. We're making you have a better life, right?"
Yeah.
Well, then eventually, even if the kids didn't want to go to school, armed soldiers came and took them and forced them to go to school and made them stay at school all day and just taught them nothing but loyalty to Nazi Germany.
Yeah, Nazi indoctrination tactics. Yes.
And then. The food, if any of the Austrians came up and said, I don't really want to be associated with this, they were like, "Oh, so you don't want to eat?" You said, and they made Austria 100% dependent upon them. And so Austria, like, they gave over their military age males. They did whatever Nazi Germany wanted because Nazi Germany had them by the balls. And when you talk about like school indoctrination, what does that sound like?
Right now, the Department of Education.
Yes. Critical race theory.
Yeah.
All that shit that says don't tell your parents. And if you want to, pretend you're a girl and you're a boy at school, we won't tell mom and dad. We'll just keep it secret.
Yeah, it'll be your little secret. I mean, they have no right to know anyway.
Yeah, your parents don't need to know that.
Forget that. Go to something that's just simpler, like school choice.
Mm-hmm.
We had here in our state, we were all the way up to getting ready to sign off that school choice was a thing. What they would do is public school would charge you for showing up, but the government's going to essentially send you a check that is like, this check is to be used to pay the public school, go pay them. If you wanted to take that check and go to a different school,
you could.
And basically, like, if it was a school that cost more, pay the difference, you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the last moment, there was a judge that came along and was like, no, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
And
now, granted, the judge was heavily funded by the teachers' unions.
Of course.
But the teachers' unions are also the ones that are
subservient to the government.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, unions in general.
It's a scam. It's always some kind of a scam.
Socialists love, we got to, fight against the bourgeoisie and give the workers the rights of the means of production.
Unions are only good for getting you more money and literally nothing else.
No, they're not even good for that because they take all your extra money in union dues and meeting times, and also the union representatives can go on fucking vacations and go to continuing education courses and all this and that. Like you're not getting, like, yes, they can help negotiate, and it is a little harder to fire you if you're a part of a union, but not really. I mean, if you fuck up totally, like they'll still drop you in a heartbeat. Like there's really not much upside to unions. Like,
ultimately, though, what we're getting at with this episode is if it goes towards Kamala and the Democrats in November, this country is fucked.
Yeah.
It's like, ultimately, that's who's going to be in power, is this the overreaching government in every possible way, because that's what they want. and the reach around in government.
But
we got to save some stuff for next week or next time because we know there's going to be more of it.
Well, Kamala, she's going to keep rolling out the hits.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think
I
we
ain't
need to
worried
save
about
any
it.
because there's going to be fresh stuff.
Well, that's it.
2 weeks from
I'm
now.
sure we've forgotten some, and we'll get all that. But I mean, this has been another hell of a political week.
If you want to stay ahead of the podcast, just watch the news.
Yeah, and then
you'll feel miserable, and then you can come to us. It'll be like
and feel slightly better.
It's an abusive relationship.
Yes,
if you think about it.
And tell your friends.
Yeah, like, subscribe, share, comment, you name it, do it all, and we will see you next week.
Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.